Hello and welcome. This is the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. This is Jeff Gamble from Indianapolis, Indiana, and today we're actually going over law number 5, the law of addition. Every day, Monday through Friday, we actually cover one of the laws of leadership. 21 laws of leadership, if you're familiar with John C. Maxwell. He actually put together a book approximately 20 some years ago after studying leadership for 20 years and pulled together the best of the best, ran it by some of the best leaders he knew of, and they came up with this list of 25. So what we do is Monday through Friday, we actually go through this. Joyce is with us, and Jennifer's with us. Hello, hello. Bess is with us. Bringing Bess on camera. Yes, Al. So what we do is Monday through Friday, we bring you one of these lessons. Bess?
Howdy, everyone. As Jeff was saying, the law of addition, this is we go through one of the 21 laws of leadership each day here. And so I'm glad you can come and have lunch with us today. Today is the law of addition. So it's how do you get people to listen? That's a big question, right? That's maybe the number one question of network marketers that has a team. How do I motivate my team? How do I get them to respond or do what I know they should be doing for their own goals and their own success? So we are Jeffrey David Gamble of My Leadership Network, also certified John Maxwell trainer, coach, and speaker, and Bess McCarty of the MLM Millionaire Club School for Network Marketers, also shrink of MLM. So we love to bring you these every lunchtime. They're called the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Shows. And there is a Facebook group for that, so you can go and join that for a bunch of perks that you get on there and community. Our purpose is to help people grow, to educate, equip, and empower entrepreneurs and create independent servant leaders. So, Jeff, how do you get people to listen?
That's a good question. I mean, you can do it many different ways, but the best way, especially in a leadership position, is actually adding value to others. It says when the real leader speaks, people automatically listen. John goes on to actually teach in this lesson. He says, learning the law of addition, he said, leaders add value basically by serving others. So if you want to add value to others, you're going to actually use the law of addition. By adding value, you actually add influence, your ability to influence others. And it says the bottom line in leadership isn't how far we advance, but how far we advance others, which is like the pure definition of MLM, direct sales, network marketing, is not just you succeeding, but people on your team succeeding. So that's kind of something you can track, something you can do. The interaction between every leader and follower is a relationship, and all relationships either add or subtract from a person's life. If you're a leader, trust me, you're either having a positive or a negative impact on the people you lead. So there is no standing still. That's something that one of my mentors, David Bird, actually taught us. Is he said there's no such thing as standing still in leadership, in growth. He said you're either growing or you're dying. You're either doing things that are adding to what you're doing or you're doing things to subtract what you're doing. He goes, look at nature. A tree never stands still. It's either growing or dying. In nature, animals, you'll look at almost all plant life. It's either growing or it's dying. So the same thing is happening with your business. What are you doing to add value? And he says, there's one critical question. Are you making things better for the people on your team? Are you making things better? Are you complimenting? Are you believing? Are you helping? Are you instructing? What are you doing to actually add value and help people? Lucy's with us. Hello. So living the law of addition, it says, if you can't give evidence of making things better for your people, you're probably a subtractor. I thought that was kind of harsh, but once he explained what was going on, I was like, that totally makes sense. Because if you keep seeing people and you're just walking by, if you keep seeing people and you're not actually helping, you're not complimenting, you're not believing, you're not acknowledging, what's going on, then probably what's happening is you're subtracting and you don't even know. He said 90% of all people who subtract do so unintentionally. Now, the reason you do so unintentionally is you don't know the law, you don't understand the law, so there's no way for you to grow the law. 3, When a leader subtracts and doesn't change his ways, he or she goes from subtracting to actually division. When you're doing this with a large group of people, it divides very quickly. And the reason it divides so fast, Laura's with us, the reason it'll divide so quickly is simply because other people will talk to other people. Oh, that person doesn't care. That person doesn't even say hi. That person walks right by. That person doesn't acknowledge. That person doesn't believe in us. That person, and here's the thing. Because of our human nature, our basic human nature is built on survival, we are more likely to pick out what people aren't doing just because we're negative by nature. We see things wrong by nature than it is to pick out things positive. It's just kind of how it works. So in contrast, 90% of all people who add value do so intentionally. Why? Because human beings are naturally selfish. It says, I'm selfish. Adding value requires me to get out of my comfort zone. Because we're always thinking about ourselves, because we're always thinking about our safety, because we're always thinking about our goals, because we're always thinking about our problems, what do we do on a regular basis? That's what's going through our head. So to be and to add to others, you actually have to stop and think and have a plan. You actually have to have a plan of what to do. And the easiest way to do this is actually first to see somebody do it. When I met Tim, one of my mentors, he was probably the most inspirational person I'd ever met. Why is that? Because what he does is he adds value to everyone. He builds people up. He tells them how great they look. He tells them what they have the ability to do. He'll find out some stuff about them and he'll be like, oh my gosh, you have that background. You know those people. You've done that. If you can do that, you can absolutely do this. Because I've met people who don't have any of those qualities. I've met people who don't look the way you look, who don't talk the way you talk, who don't know the people you know, who haven't accomplished anything that you've accomplished. And they've been able to do this. And because they've been able to do this, I know you can do this. And he just had a way of building people up and inspiring people. He would also say absolutely crazy things. One thing that I learned from him is he said, laughter actually, watch this, this is huge. Laughter actually makes people like you. Why? Because we like humor. We like people, things that are funny. So you'd sometimes ask Tim, how are you doing? He's like, man, I'm so excited I could break into a zoo and rip the stripes off a donkey. And you'd be like, I would think, I'd be like, what did he say? He meant zebra. And it would just get you thinking about insane things. He's like, I just want to tie a boa constrictor in a knot. And it was just kind of funny, like ridiculous things. And you'd be like, wow. He's like, man, I'm so excited. I'm just going to attract so many people. I'm going to pour kerosene on myself and light myself on fire and run down the street naked. And you'd be like, maybe you shouldn't do, some of the stuff I questioned, but people's reaction was so amazing. I would watch people on that and you'd just be like, you could just tell people didn't know what to think at first, but then they're like, I like this guy. I like this guy. He's different. Pablo's with us. What's happening, sir? So people just liked him. And because he did this and he got people to like him first, and then he'd believe in them, it was amazing how many people he attracted to him and would just follow him everywhere he went. Crazy, but it works. And I've seen some of the best leaders who are able to add value consistently would make people laugh, get people to automatically connect and like them. Jeffrey's with us. What's happening, sir? They would get people to automatically like them. And because they got people to automatically like them, what would happen is they just attracted people. It's so much easier to recruit people when they like you, because people do business with people they know, people they like, and people they trust. Well, people you know, you're going to know them over time. What's the fastest way to actually know somebody? Have someone else give them credibility. Because you feel like you know them. If somebody else builds somebody up, you feel like you know them. So that's why third party is so important. That's why edification is so important inside of our industry. Now, here's the thing. Be careful who you build up. Be careful who you build up. Make sure you know who they are before you build them up. Just because they're in your support team doesn't necessarily mean they're the person to build up. Although we hope that's the case, we want that to be the case, but I'm just saying, make sure you know who this person is. I sit down, I do interviews, I find out who people are, what they're about, what their background is, before I will sit down and actually lead people to them and follow them. And then I find out what their personalities are, so that way I connect the right people. Because the last thing you want to do is think you're connecting and helping, and you're actually hurting. So with that, that's the first part of the law of addition. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send this back over to Bess to give us some insights on the law of addition.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. I just got a few really cool takeaways. That it must be intentional. I realize that. Oh, first I want to say hi to Joyce, Mike, Calvin, Lucy, Adrian, and Jeff. We're glad you're here, you guys. We're all in good company. We're all learning to take our next step in being listenable and listening to people. So what I loved was two takeaways just now, but must be intentional. And I found that that's true. You know, the people that look like, oh, they do it so easily, it's because they intend to. And they plan to, and it can become a habit and it become easier. But every day, every morning when I do my spiritual work, I do intend to serve people, to build up people. Had the opportunity yesterday when I was talking with a client, and she was actually in tears because of situations in her life. She was down on herself. I'm not good enough. I can't do this and all that. You could just hear the stuff from childhood being replayed in her head. You know, about can't do it and all that. This can happen to people on your team too. Believe me, when they start out with network marketing and they don't have some successes right away, or they run into somebody that says no, then, oh, they hate me. And, you know, so old programming, definitely from childhood, can come up. The things that we heard when we were kids that worked against us, we can keep replaying in our own mind. And so that is why it's good to edify people. I learned this actually at a network marketing meeting when the leaders there, I went one time just as a guest, and I was a coach at that time as well. And I'm not in a network marketing company now. I'm dedicated to being just a generic coach. But it was beautiful at this particular company. The leaders were there, and the founders and the top earners, and they were edifying people, especially a couple of them. And that's where I really grasped how good that can feel. So that's what I did with my client yesterday. I knew that she had, you know, I'd specifically been with her and witnessed beautiful qualities that she had. And so I actually spoke about her on a couple of these lives a couple days ago. And I said, hey, I talked about you on her Facebook Live, and I told them this and this and this. And she goes, really? Really? I said, yeah, you know, 95% of people don't have these qualities that I see in you. And then she felt better. She felt better about herself, knowing that she can be lacking in some areas, but that she can be good in others. Her strengths are different than some people's. And I think that even though Jeff said we want to be careful who we build up and who we recommend to other people, when we're talking with that person, we can still find something positive about everyone. No one's all positive and no one's all negative. Even a person who has a bad track record has some good things about them that we can focus on and edify and build up and strengthen within them, every single person. So I've learned, you know, that even within myself, it's not all black or white. I got stuff to work on. And I've got stuff that I can give to the world too. I have gifts and talents that I have developed and grown. So does everyone. The second thing that I liked was the laughing makes people like you. And I was remembering that maybe we like that person because they're having fun, or they like themselves, and that's bringing value. You know, that's getting people to listen to you. That's the law of addition is really bringing enough value so that people listen to you. And one reason they listen to you is because you listen to them, which I'll talk about in a moment. But first of all, they listen to you because you bring value. And I think one of the best values you can bring is to enjoy yourself, to like yourself and enjoy life, like that guy that Jeff was talking about. And I think he's just enjoying the heck out of himself, and you want to be around people like that. My brother's, I was telling a joke to I do like humor. I was telling a joke to my brother, and I was just cracking up. My brother goes, look at her, she's slaying herself. You know? And I don't remember what the joke was, but if you've ever been around somebody who's laughing, can you resist laughing for very long? You can't. I was in a car full of people one time carpooling, and And my friend was laughing at something on YouTube. She started cracking up to where she couldn't speak. She turned red. She was crying, and we didn't know what it was about, but we started laughing. The whole car started laughing. And you've seen that YouTube video, these people waiting at a bus stop, and one of them starts chuckling, then builds it up and builds up. Pretty soon they're all chuckling. They don't know what it's about. So I think, enjoy yourself, enjoy life, and that helps people to want to listen to you. Now, one reason people will listen is first, I think you need to listen to them. I teach a system called Compassionate Communication by Marshall Rosenberg as my shrink of MLM hat. I teach people to communicate. It helps in network marketing. It helps in families. It helps at your job and everything. It's just a wonderful system. Compassion or Nonviolent Communication is the book by Marshall Rosenberg. And he says to get people to listen to you and your feelings and needs, first you listen to other people's. So the more that you listen to your team members, applying this to network marketing or anyone else, the more that you listen to them, to their feelings and needs especially. Tim Sales said, y'all should know your front line's why. You should have that posted on your refrigerator. You should memorize it so that when you talk with them, you can always refer back to that. Like, let's all get to this meeting so that you can fire that boss. Let's bring people to the next company convention. Let's all lock arms and go so you can get out of debt, so you can be home with your kids, so you can have a better retirement, so you can travel like you want to. You should know your first line's why. Do you know that? Do you know your own, first of all, but do you know theirs? And that takes listening. Jeff has a system when you first sign up a new recruit that you sit down and you learn these things about them. This is very important. Maybe you've even done that before they sign up, and that's part of their why that they're signing up. So when we listen, what better gift can we give another person? Really, truly. One time I was with a nonprofit organization for many years, and we did expo booths and info booths and all that, and we put out a survey, and we thought we wanted to know what people got the most out of our booths, and they said the most frequent answer was we were listened to. Thank goodness we did, instead of just mouthing off all the important things we know. But nobody's going to listen to you till you listen to them first, I think, unless you're a speaker, but and have been edified properly, then they'll listen to you. But you've heard that saying, people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. So that's my immediate tip right now for getting people to listen to you. Back to Jeff.
So leading others to the law of addition. Benefits of adding value to others are, it benefits those being served. Obviously, if you're helping other people, it's going to benefit the people you're helping. Number two, serving is fulfilling. Tony Robbins talks a lot about there's the art of, or the science of, achievement. Doing certain things in a certain order, following certain people's processes, you're going to automatically produce results. But serving others is also fulfilling to the person, because there's an art to fulfillment. And typically, the only way to really feel fulfilled is you're out helping other people. Three, it allows us to lead with the right motives. So you want to go out with the right intentions. The intention is if I serve others, I feel good. So now, to feel good all the time, I'm going to have to constantly go out and help other people. Four, serving develops a leadership culture and leadership team. When you're helping other people grow, helping other people achieve, helping other people get their first paycheck, helping other people get started, you create this environment on your team that works. It says you don't need a title to serve. John goes on to say, the title doesn't necessarily make the leader, but the leader always makes the title. So you don't need a title to serve. So number one, add value to others. You add value by valuing other people. So if you don't feel people have an inner worth, some people are just negative across the board. Everybody's out to get them. Everybody, has a darkness where they're going to come after you at some rate. And I know people who have this view because they were brought up in maybe a bad environment and the people around them were horrible. They were abused growing up. They just kind of have this unbelievable sense that everybody's out to get them. And because of that, they actually repel people left and right. We add value when we make ourselves more valuable. Now, how do you make yourself more valuable? Typically, you add value in two ways. Belief is number one. Believing in yourself, they call it self-esteem, self-worth, self-value. How do you do that? Well, usually it's by learning that the rest of the world is just as messed up as you are. That usually helps out a lot. Because in a lot of cases, what I've found is people believe that their situation is so unique that they're the only ones suffering, that they're the only ones that have been through it, and they're the only ones that have that happening to them. And typically what you learn is when you meet a lot of people and you actually sit down with a lot of people, you'll actually find out that you're not the only one, that most people deal with something like that. It's just we choose to internalize it. We choose to deal with it differently. So by reading and by, that's why I think Jim Rohn said you want to read a lot of autobiographies, you'll learn that people are just as messed up as you, and sometimes, in a lot of cases, even more messed up than you. And when you learn that they're more messed up than you and still succeeding, that's where a lot of breakthroughs happen. So we add values by value ourselves. We add value to others when we know and can relate to what others value. So this is kind of, one of the things that I find most often is because we have a low self-esteem and we're not used to finding out others, we're trying to push our agenda on people, but have no idea what their wants and needs are. Now, I'll be honest, some people don't even have a list of wants and needs. Some people don't know it. Like you can ask them, well, what exactly do you want here? I don't know. And that's typically somebody who has a low self-esteem, who doesn't know exactly what they want. They actually feel like they get what they get. Like there is no control. There is no control in their life. Circumstances rule everything. The environment takes care of everybody. Certain people are just destined not to make it. Certain people, that's the way they feel. That's the way they look at things. Other people believe I can change my circumstances, or I can't change my circumstances, but I can change direction. I can't change my destination overnight, but I can change the direction overnight. I can't change, the fact that I have friends, but I can change the people that I'm talking to who are becoming friends. So it's just a belief, whether you believe things are predestined or you have the ability to affect what's going on. And that will change your overall idea of being able to add value to people. 4, we add value to others. It says when we do things God values. So if you look into, and this is across the board, if you look into most self-help of any kind, if you value people and if you go to understand people first, typically what will happen, the turnaround will be that you'll be able to help people. But typically what happens is we don't understand people, and we don't understand people because typically what will happen is there's some form of disrespect before there is understanding. And we feel like the person's coming after us. We feel like the person's disrespecting us. We feel that first. And because we feel that first, we make a judgment call and then we treat people differently. You see this happen a lot. It happens a lot, social media, because people put up their opinion of something, not necessarily, they might not even know what they're talking about, but they're just forwarding on a message that's popular, that other people think is popular. And now all of a sudden there's an offense to it. So now all of a sudden it's like, well, we're not going to talk to them. We're not going to value those people. The more influence we have, the greater your impact on others. So that's one thing. If you're able to impact others, if you're able to influence others, you're going to have a greater impact on others, the way that they think, the way that they feel, what they do. For better or for worse, which isn't always good. You want to add value, not try to take it away. You want to be adding value to people, not consistently trying to take it away. So ask yourself the following questions. How and when are you a servant leader? When are you helping? If you can't point out exactly when you're helping, you're probably not helping. You might think you're helping. You might have the intention of helping. You might feel you're helping, But if you can't point out exactly what you're doing, you're probably not. So that's kind of a good list. If you're not tracking what you're doing, you're probably not able to understand whether you're moving forward or not. 2, when do you get impatient or resentful? Every time I go on social media, I mean, you know, it only takes about 5 minutes. Mark Twain said, the more people I meet, the more I like my dog. You know, and you know, in a lot of cases, that's true. And the reason being is, you know, isn't it funny that an animal's reaction, you know, you can leave for 2 seconds, you come back, it's like, hey, you're back. Oh my God, I love you. I love the movie, The Life of Pets. If you haven't seen The Life of Pets, very, very fun show, cartoon about lost pets that basically get flushed away or kind of thrown out, and they band together to form a gang. It's hysterical. But the dogs in the movie are great. The cat's funny. 3, are there tasks beneath your dignity or position? And that has a lot to do with self-worth. I mean, what I found is the more value you feel on the inside, the less you feel like you're risking something to do something. Oh, that's beneath me, or that's, you know, not part of me. I recently read about this lady who's a billionaire who's in New York City, and she dresses up in like a hat and a dirty coat and everything, and goes and just picks up trash everywhere in her neighborhood just because she wants it to look good, because she wants to set an example for other people. Now, she does so anonymously most of the time, but they've caught her so many times on film and on pictures. Somebody finally questioned her about it, and she's like, why? It's the right thing to do. They're like, yeah, but you have so much money, you can hire somebody to do it. She's like, yeah, but then I wouldn't be setting an example. I was like, wow, that's strong. She's like, because if it needs to be done, do it yourself first. You can hire people later. Make it a practice to perform small acts of service without seeking credit. See, the reason why most people don't do things, the reason why most people don't do things is because they only want the reaction. Because your self-esteem is so torn up, because your past has so many issues, you're like, well, I'm not going to do that because I never get credit for anything. You know, I don't get pictures taken of me when I take out the trash. Yeah, make $1 billion first, and then people will start talking about everything you do, the good and the bad. I mean, I love people who come to me, they're like, college is completely worthless. And I was like, okay, well, do explain. You know, because I believe college in about 85% of the cases is completely worthless. But you know, not all the time. And they're like, well, the smartest people in the world dropped out. You know, Bill Gates dropped out. Steve Jobs dropped out. I'm like, yes, but they got into Harvard. You know, get into Harvard first. If you can get into Harvard or Yale or, you know, Princeton, get in there first, then drop out, then tell me how to. I mean, like, these people were going to be billionaires regardless. You know, you can't, you know, basically do basic math and keep a budget together and keep things on track. What you need to do is you just need to pay your bills. And, you know, because people talk to me about finances all the time. So make it a practice to perform small acts of service without seeking credit. You don't need credit for everything you do. In fact, the more what you'll find is the more stuff you do without seeking credit, usually the better you feel. It's amazing.
There you go.
Depressed people, usually a lot of times the reason they're depressed is they either don't go help people, or worse, they help people and they don't see, meaning they don't feel that they did anything, which is even worse. 5, what do the people closest to you value? If you don't know that, it's probably because you've been focusing so much on yourself. So you have to understand, what do other people value and how can you help them do that more often? So with that, that is the end of this lesson. So what I'm going to do is turn it over to Bess for any closing thoughts on the law of addition and what we have going on this weekend.
Cool. And hi, Marty, Abraham, Michael, Corey, and Denise. And Marty, thank you for your comments about the value that you're getting, and Abraham too. Thank you guys. You say, yeah, I get a lot of benefits. Great job. Helpful so much. Always value. Thank you so much for saying that. that we try to do the best we possibly can for you, and like to hear that and any suggestions how we can make it better. Who has a question about any of this topic, about listening, bringing value, the law of addition, about leadership, about network marketing? This is your chance to get coached by network marketing coaches, and good ones, I think. So we'd love to hear your insights and wisdom. How do you listen? How do you bring value? If you're watching the replay, I'd love if you type that in so that we can thank you. Also, I miss hearing where everybody's from. I'd like to hear that too. And of course, if you're getting value, we love the likes and the loves and the shares, and tagging people, sharing it in other network marketing groups. There are other leadership groups that you know of personal growth. This is for all entrepreneurs, really. So that doing it with no reward. I bet that billionaire, she did it because she felt good. Why hire somebody else when she wanted to feel that good? You know I do. So when I have volunteered to my community, picked up trash or anything like that, that I have time for, I'm not going to let that replace my other responsibilities. But if I have the time to do that, or while I'm walking my dog, if I bring a bag along and pick up trash, that's cool. I feel good about that. I just, it's a selfish feeling that I want to feel that good. So maybe it's more selfish than altruistic. But we do it for how we feel, like Jeff said. I just love that. Another way to help people to feel good about themselves is to compliment them. So those are two quick tips that you can do. We talk about getting on this live and how do I get my team to listen to me. We aren't going to give you tips about tying them up and making them look at you or anything like that, but it's about working on you, right, to be attractive instead. So two quick ways to do that is to listen to them and ask interested questions, and also compliment them and edify them and build their strengths. Here's a cool thing to add value to yourself, is to ask someone close to you, what do you see that I don't? How can I add value to myself? How can I improve myself? And that's a brave question to ask, but you could ask the people that you trust that know you and would give you an honest answer about that. Other ways to add value to yourself is to do your personal growth daily. That's why you're hopping on this lunch and having lunch with us, so that you can increase your value and your worth, and make yourself into a person that people will want to listen to you, because you are focused on their best interest, and because you have something to share with them. You have some knowledge to share with them. That's why we read our books and study. And for me, I have a mentor who said, do your spiritual time every day, every morning, because that adds value. You get insights that might not have come to you otherwise. She's gotten her best business ideas during that spiritual time. So to me, that's one way I add value to myself, to bring more to these shows and to the people that I work with every day. It's said that a good leader is quick to take the blame and slow to take the credit. So think, how could that apply to you in any situation that you've recently been through or might be in? What can you do to apply that? We do have something, we'll wait for questions or comments. Love to hear those, of course. We do have something cool happening this weekend. Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to have a brief call for those who have questions. You've heard us talk about our Quick Start Basics class. Now, some of you on here I know are going to be on that call that I've talked to yesterday. So you've heard us talk about our Sunday night call, our Quick Start Basics class for network marketers, that goes over the 10 core commitments and the core foundations and skills that you need to move fast and get your team moving fast. Even though it's basics, we have old timers coming in and joining in, because you can't drill on the basics too much for yourself, and then you take this to your team. And they're also sending their team over too. So we teach this on Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It is, and there's so much value there. It's only $25 a month, you guys, for this class. It includes our Always Get a Yes book of scripts you've heard us talk about, and Jeff's famous favor script. One guy calls it a killer script. And all the other skills, just magnificent and powerful information every class. It includes membership to my school, the MLM Millionaire Club too, which has a year's worth of curriculum in there, and audios and videos and tools and everything. So it's tremendous, tremendous value. I thought I was charging a lot more per month. Now it's only $25 a month to be in it. So some of our friends have questions about that class and about the added on free test class that we're adding on to that, which is a $300 leadership test class that people in their basics class are going to be invited to for free, and that starts in October. So they have until this month to get into that class and be part of both for that same low price of $25 a month. So people have questions about, well, what are they each? Leadership class is going to be on Wednesdays. The basics class is on Sundays. People who are in the basics get invited to the Wednesday leadership class too. So if you have questions about both of them, we're going to be on a call on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern time, just for about 20 minutes to answer any questions about that. You can private message me for that number, but a special gift that we're going to give to people who are on that call and who join our class right after that is they're going to be mailed one of the John Maxwell books at no charge, just as a gift. They're going to be mailed one of these books that we're going to start using in the Leadership University, the Wednesday night class. So we're making just some nice things available. We're happy to do that. And we invite you on that call on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Just go ahead and private message Bess McCarty, and I will get you that call-in number for that, especially for you guys. Our next show Monday, is the law number 6, the law of solid ground, and that's about trust being the foundation of being a leader. That's do I trust this person? This is what everybody's asking themselves before they follow you or sign up with you or even buy from you as a distributor of your product. Can I trust this person? So we're going to talk about how you can gain that trust on Monday on the other lunchtime show, MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. Remember, you can go to that Facebook group and request membership there, because you get the book, the free book for that, the replays, the notices, and everything, community support. Hey, Roxanne, good to see you. Jeff, did I cover everything?
I think that's everything. I'm excited about the 2 o'clock. I'm excited about the last edition or last training for the 10 core this week on Sunday. Oh, yeah. And then we will actually recap next week. So we're going to need a list of everybody who's gone through the first session and has graduated. You know, it's kind of like your associate's degree in network marketing through the Quick Start Basic class. You've gotten through it. Now you've heard it once. Now it's time to start, applying. Now it's time to start growing, using the stuff. It should start ringing a bell. You're like, okay, I've heard this before. Some people are like, oh my gosh, you're going to do the same thing over and over again. I said, could you imagine walking into work and every day they're like, hey, all that stuff we taught you yesterday? It's totally different. We're going to teach it different today. I mean, you do that day after day, week after week. I mean, it would be a mess, and what we do, we get good at what we repeat. What we repeatedly do. So what you want to do is you want to find the right things to do, and you want to do them consistently enough over a long enough period of time to actually start producing the results. That's the first stage. Stage 2 is you choose responsibility, you choose accountability, and you actually start tracking and planning out exactly what you're going to do. And we're going to be talking about that on Sunday. So definitely bring a notebook. Bring a pen, bring an extra pen in case you run out of stuff. We're actually going to take almost the whole hour and a half, the whole 90 minutes to go over that. We're just going to run through the 10 core. Bess is just going to read off the list, and then we're going to get into that, how to map out a month, what you should be doing, and what you do when you sit down with another person. Because a lot of people are like, I got people started, but I have no idea what to do with them. Just got another guy started yesterday that I'm sitting down with Tuesday. And mapping things out. So that's what we do. You want to get them in, you want to get them started, you want to get them started right, you want to get them started quickly and make sure they get going. So with that, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to turn this back over to Bess for a closing thought, and then we will close out.
That strategy stuff and that planning stuff that Jeff was just speaking about, that's at the 9 p.m. time, and that's for our regular basic students. So you guys, some of you are on here, I know. Oh gosh, we hope that we would love to have you really attend in person, because that is going to be hot, and it's going to help you to set up the rest of the year with huge success for yourself. So this is one of my favorites of the 10 core, and it's just going to be jam-packed. So that is for the Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, basic students. The people who get on at 2 p.m. and that join can hop right into that class with us. So we'd love for that to happen for you, and to have the best end of year possible for you. And that's how we're going to lay all that out Sunday night. Lucy has questions. Think success is letting go of emotions, can't control what you can't control. So Lucy, I know you went through a rude awakening with that recently, right? Oh gosh. So letting go of emotions, letting go, realizing what we can control, which is ourselves, but not another person. Yes, that's real huge. Do you have a question about that? Or I think you're sharing your insight about that, and how important it is not to take things personally. We cannot control another person, but we can move on to the next person, right? That person is not ready for what we have to offer, or even puts us down about it, or not the thing down, but puts us down too. I've had that happen to me as a network marketer. So we move on, and try to find the good in that situation. I like to say, how did this happen for me? What am I learning from it? Rather than why did this happen to me, but why did this happen for me? And what gifts, what learning can I get from it? Because I either win or I learn, right? So there is no learning. How to make that easier to do that. Did that just help what I just said? To look for the gifts. When something really tough happens to me, I say, well, how am I developing spiritually because of it? What character qualities and traits am I getting? Am I getting, the detachment, not taking it personally? Am I getting the persistence to know that there's more people out there who are ready for what I have? Am I getting the boundary and the difference between that person and me, that this is not about me. It's that they have rejected themselves truly. If somebody rejects my classes that I am marketing right now, if somebody says, no, those are terrible, rotten classes or something like that, I know that they're good, but they have just rejected their own gift, the gift that was in there for them. It's not about me, it's not about the class, but they have closed their mind to receiving a gift that I had for them. Now, they may have been getting gifts other places from other teachers, and that's cool, or they're not time because they're busy moving, or their father's sick or something, and it's not the time. So, but we just know that it's about them. And it's the hardest when it's family, Lucy, because we have all these close emotional ties with them. Of course, it's the hardest when it's family. And I know that's what you're going through. Looking back to see this is what I recommend when it's family and stuff is happening. Write down what the voices are in your head. Like, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I've chosen something bad again. I'm a loser, or whatever, that family member might be putting down about, like, you're in a dumb thing. You can't do this. You're wasting your time in that business. Whatever negative stuff is going through your head and you're talking to yourself and saying about that. I do have a self-coach process called Real Conversations, to where you listen to those negative thoughts, write down your feeling, like shame or guilt or whatever is coming up for you with those comments, and then write down what you need. It might be self-esteem, self-validation, to not take it personally. You write down those things and you figure how to give those things to yourself. I'm available for coaching if you want help beyond that. I will put a link to an audio, which is a radio interview that was done with me describing this process and some self-coach lessons. I'll put a link in that. Hope you can walk yourself through that, journal this out. And when people get stuck, that's when they call me. You can private message me and we can talk about that. Thank you. Good question. You're not alone. All network marketers go through this. Strengthens us for the next time, makes us immune to that discouragement and that disappointment that can dog us. Each time it gets better and easier, believe me. Does that help? Okay, I'll let Jeff close it out here.
Guys, that's it. We wish you a great weekend. Hope you have a lot of success. Contact some new people, recruit some new people, sell some product over the weekend, and join us on Sunday. Get ready, get moving. Lucy, have a great weekend, and we'll see everybody then. Thank you guys so much.